They fined me $10,000 because my 7-year-old son picked up a turtle by the lake, so I made sure their own daughter had to repeat her final exam. That's when the whole community finally saw who the real problem was, and everything changed. The sun shimmered over Willow Ridge Lake as my 7-year-old son, Ethan, proudly held up the tiny turtle he'd found near the dock. He called out for his friends, laughing, showing them how gentle he was as the turtle blinked slowly, calm in his small hands. Then came the shrill voice from behind us, "Put that down. That's harassment of wildlife." HOA President Karen stormed across the grass. Her orange blazer glared brighter than the sun, clipboard clutched like a weapon, and her face twisted as if Ethan had committed a crime. The other parents froze, unsure whether to laugh or defend my little boy as Karen snapped pictures with her phone for evidence. Before we go on, please, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I want to see how many families, parents, and neighbors are feeling this story across the country tonight. Your comment helps this message reach more people who've faced unfair HOA rules too. "Ma'am, he's just a kid," I said calmly, but she turned toward me with venom in her eyes, shouting about environmental laws and HOA regulations. Her voice carried across the lake, making every parent and child stop their play. The moment seared into my memory like a scar. Ethan's smile faded as tears filled his eyes. He didn't understand what he'd done wrong besides caring for something beautiful. That night, an HOA letter arrived. Violation, harming protected wildlife. Fine, $10,000. Possible community expulsion. I held that paper under the kitchen light, my anger boiling as I whispered, "She picked the wrong man to humiliate." Before that day, life at Willow Ridge had been peaceful, lake mornings, barbecue nights, and kids chasing fireflies under porch lights. Karen, however, had always been different. The kind of woman who lived for rules, gossip, and HOA power like it was oxygen. She'd once fined my neighbor, Glenn, for painting his mailbox too glossy. That should have been my warning. Still, I thought keeping my distance would save my family from her nonsense. I was wrong. She wanted control over everyone. Ethan loved nature. Every weekend he'd explore the lake edge, collecting shells, drawing frogs, and writing about them in his school journal. His teacher said he had a heart for living things. Karen said he had a lack of discipline. The letter about the fine was followed by an HOA meeting invite, mandatory attendance. The tone felt like a courtroom summons. My wife, Laura, said to just pay and move on, but something inside me rebelled. $10,000 for kindness? No way. Still, I needed to think smart. Revenge was tempting, but I wasn't going to let anger make me foolish. I folded that letter neatly, slid it into my desk, and told myself, she'll regret crossing me, but on my terms. The meeting hall buzzed with whispers. Karen stood at the front, flanked by her board, smug, self-righteous, and ready to judge. Ethan sat beside me, fidgeting, while Laura gripped my hand under the table. We both knew this wasn't about a turtle. It was about control. Karen wanted a show. She wanted to make an example of us to remind everyone who ruled Willow Ridge. "Mr. Danner," she began, her tone sharp. "Your child interfered with protected lake wildlife. That's a serious violation." I asked calmly, "Did you verify the turtle's species?" Her eyes flickered. "Irrelevant. Rules are rules." I showed them photos. Ethan releasing the turtle gently back into the lake, unharmed. No damage done. No harm caused. The board murmured, uncertain. Karen slammed her folder. "Intent matters. You can't let children touch wildlife." I could see the other parents' faces, confusion mixed with discomfort. Even they thought this was absurd. When the board upheld the fine anyway, Ethan cried softly. I didn't comfort him, not yet. I needed that pain remembered. Because pain, I knew, was the seed of purpose, and my revenge would bloom from that seed. I wasn't just a father. I was also the head teacher at Crestwood Elementary, the same school Karen's daughter, Emily, attended. She'd been struggling academically, and I'd personally helped her through math and science over the years, with kindness her mother never noticed. Now that kindness felt wasted. Every glance from Karen at the grocery store was smug satisfaction, as if she'd conquered me. But Emily's final year exams were coming, and I was responsible for curriculum oversight and academic integrity across the district. I wasn't going to break rules, I was going to use them precisely the way Karen did against us. One evening, as I marked student files, I noticed Emily's incomplete coursework and missing attendance records. A quiet opportunity appeared. Under district policy, incomplete records automatically triggered a retest review, perfectly legitimate. I submitted her name for review due to incomplete performance data, signing it without a second thought. I didn't need to lie or manipulate. I simply let the truth catch up with Karen, the same way she'd used rules to punish Ethan. And this time, those rules had sharp edges for her, not me. When the school letters went out, Karen stormed into my office like thunder in heels, clutching the notice in disbelief. "This is harassment," she hissed. "My daughter passed. You're targeting my family." Her voice cracked with panic beneath the fury. I kept my tone even. "Mrs. Langford, district policy is clear. Incomplete coursework requires a retest. I didn't make that rule." For the first time, her power faltered. The woman who once stood tall over everyone now trembled at the thought of her daughter repeating. She demanded the superintendent intervene, but the superintendent only shrugged. "Policy's policy, Karen. Emily, sweet girl, apologized to me later. Mr. Danner, I didn't know my mom did that to Ethan. I'm sorry." That apology cut deeper than Karen's insults ever could. It reminded me there were innocent hearts behind every feud. Still, justice had to finish what it started. Karen's rage spread through the community like wildfire. She told neighbors I was abusing power. But now, the parents were listening differently. They'd all suffered her tyranny too. And the cracks in her control began to show. One by one, parents started whispering about mailbox fines, dog leash warnings, pool restrictions, and ridiculous grass height citations. I didn't even have to rally them. Karen's arrogance did it for me. Her downfall was her own echo. At the next HOA meeting, the attendance tripled. People who'd never shown up came holding letters, photos, and stories. Glenn stood up first. "Karen fined me for hanging an American flag on Memorial Day. We've had enough." Another mother added, "She accused my daughter of trespassing in our own yard." The room buzzed with resentment. Karen tried to regain order, banging the table, shouting about bylaws and authority. I stood quietly at the back, arms folded, letting her unravel herself in front of her kingdom. Then someone asked, "What about that $10,000 fine for the boy and the turtle?" Silence fell. Karen sputtered excuses, but the tide had already turned. People saw her clearly for the first time, a dictator in pearls. And when they looked toward me, it wasn't pity I saw. It was respect. A week later, a special HOA meeting was called, Vote of Confidence for President Langford. Everyone knew what it meant. The boardroom was packed to the walls with residents, their anger no longer hidden. Karen tried her usual charm. "Friends, we must preserve order and values." But no one clapped. Then I stood. Calmly, I placed the $10,000 fine letter on the table. "You want order? Let's start with fairness." The board murmured. I explained what happened. A boy's love for nature turned into a public shaming for money. Every word hit like a hammer. The photos, Ethan's tears, Karen's threats, all evidence of her cruelty. Finally, the vice president stood. Motion to revoke the fine and dismiss Mrs. Langford as HOA President. Applause erupted like thunder in a storm. Karen froze, mouth trembling, realizing she'd lost everything she'd ruled over. Ethan watched from the doorway, smiling faintly. "Dad, are we okay now?" he whispered. I nodded, whispering back, "We are now, son. We really are." The following morning, a knock echoed at my door. I opened it to find Karen. No clipboard, no blazer, just a mother. Her voice was quiet. "I lost everything. You must be happy." I said nothing, letting silence weigh heavier than words. Then she whispered, "Emily cried all night. She thinks it's her fault. I went too far, didn't I?" I looked at her, remembering Ethan's tears at the lake, the same innocence her power had crushed. "You didn't just go too far. I said softly. You taught every child here what fear looks like. Her eyes watered, but she didn't argue. I'll pay the fine myself. You don't have to. I handed her the letter back. Keep it. It's void. Parents stood up. You can't fine conscience. For a long moment, we stood silent. Two parents, broken in different ways, finally understanding each other. When she turned to leave, she said, I hope Ethan forgives me someday. He already did, I said quietly. Kids forgive easier than adults ever can. Weeks later, Willow Ridge felt lighter. Laughter returned to the lake, kids played freely, and the rules on the notice board grew shorter. Karen moved to another part of California, and the new HOA board included parents, not power-hungry tyrants. Ethan built a small wooden sign near the dock. Be kind to nature and people. Everyone smiled when they passed it. He still talked about the turtle sometimes, wondering where it swam now, maybe with a family of its own. Laura hugged me one night and said, You did the right thing. I smiled. No, we did. We taught the neighborhood something they forgot. That kindness isn't weakness. The community started potlucks again, music by the lake, and even small fishing contests for kids. The fear that once ruled our homes had disappeared with Karen's reign. And every time I saw that lake shimmer, I thought about how peace doesn't just return, it's rebuilt, piece by piece. Sometimes, all it takes is standing up once and others will follow. Years later, Ethan became a biologist, protecting wildlife, teaching kids to care without fear. Life had come full circle. One afternoon he told me, Dad, remember the turtle? That's when I knew what I wanted to do forever. I laughed, heart swelling with pride. Funny how one cruel act led to something good. He smiled. And you didn't let fear win. I looked at the lake, calm under the California sun, and thought about every fight worth having. Revenge hadn't been destruction. It had been justice wrapped in patience. When Emily graduated years later, she sent me a thank you letter. You were hard on me but fair. My mom learned too. Sometimes, time softens even the deepest grudges, but it never erases the truth. That summer, the lake sparkled brighter than ever, as if forgiving everything it had witnessed. And for the first time, I realized, peace is the sweetest revenge of all.